Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica with Black Travelers Network, and I want to take the time to do a quick video about the topic of why we choose the destinations we choose to take people. Out of all the places in the world that we could go and we could visit and have an amazing travel experience, why do we choose Brazil? Why do we choose South Africa? Why are these some of the places that we choose to visit with our groups of travelers? And so I want to get into that reason because there's a method to it. There's really a real sort of thoughtful reason behind it. Actually, several thoughtful reasons behind it. For those of you who are on our email list, you should have received an email talking about how I would go more in depth this week about why those destinations are on the list and why we continue to travel to them. So before I get into why we do what we do, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Also make sure you hit the notification tab so that you can be notified when a video is uploaded. Also, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can check below in the description box and terms of how you can like go on any one of those social media platforms and follow us. So, with that being said, let me get to my list. The number one reason why we offer places like South Africa or Brazil or Dubai, all of these really amazing places, is because most people have not been there. Most people haven't been there. And, it's so interesting because people are like, a lot of the people who are part of the community know that we will go to Brazil sometimes a couple times in a year. And people may assume that we do the same thing, but we don't. We always switch things up and change things up to add more value to the experience and to just give people a different experience. I'm one of those people, I go on just about every trip. And so it has to be exciting and entertaining to me as well as to all of our travelers. And so I like to keep it fresh. Our folks always keep it fresh. And, our team does, there's a lot of research that goes into putting together a full, complete travel experience that's compelling and that makes you not only have a great trip, but want to come back to the destination. Because that, for us, is really the point. We want to show you the best of times, but make you feel comfortable enough that if you decided to come back, you could feel like you would come back and you would have the support of your experience and what you learn, and also having met people in the destination before. So that's very important for us. But most people haven't been to Brazil. And even those people who have been to places like Brazil, a lot of people haven't been during the carnival season, which is the biggest, most popular peak season. And for those who have been, they haven't experienced what we help people to experience while in Brazil during Carnival. And so, there are something like millions and millions of people here in the United States. I don't know the full number of how many folks in America there are, but I will tell you, very, very few have ever been to Brazil. Very few. And so we continue to offer it because it's an exciting destination. It's a beautiful destination. Actually, all of our places are exciting and beautiful and wonderful. South Africa, Dubai, Cuba, like they're all like really fantastic destinations. But yeah, the short answer is most people haven't been there before, and we want to be the ones to introduce you to the place in the right way. So that's number one. Number two, we choose the places that we choose because you can easily find our story as people who are a part of the African diaspora. You can find our story in every country that we visit. And we tend to focus on places where we have like a strong element of African history and culture and heritage that's sort of weaved throughout different aspects of the society. I mean, of course, if you go to with us to any destination in Africa, of course, that's the motherland, that's the mothership. You're gonna find all of that. But outside of though outside of the continent, you know, we look to uh, introduce you to elements of the African diaspora in different places. For example, Dubai. Dubai is an amazing place, a very popular destination for folks to visit. And um, I'm telling you, it's amazing how many people from the continent of Africa who are in Dubai, who live there and who are working there. But also, many people have been there for generations. Like their family is, I mean, their family is from Africa, and they have different parts in which they live in different parts of Dubai or Abu Dhabi or areas like that. Like they're really a strong presence of Africa all throughout the UAE in different aspects. And to be honest, like that's a part that I feel like we definitely have to go and delve deeper into in terms of understanding that story and that history and how those brothers and sisters ended up in the Middle East, in the middle of the desert, you know. But that's a very important reason we look for the story of African people throughout every place that we visit. Number three, the cost. You know, it can get a little costly, you know, depending on where you are. Um, yeah, just kind of where you're going to be located uh, in the destination. Like sometimes we're in very expensive air parts of the city, and you know it can be a little pricey getting to some of these places and putting on this level of experience that we put on and hosting travelers from around the world. But with that being said, we also choose the places that we choose because of the cost. Most of our folks are very thoughtful about price, and most people want to have a great time, but they don't want to break the budget. And so we choose destinations because once you get there, it's not too expensive. Some places you go, it's expensive to get there, and it's expensive once you're there. Some places you go to, it's actually cheap to get there, and when you land on the ground, it's totally different in terms of cost. It can be kind of a um, budget buster. It can definitely break the bank if you allow it to do that. I would say out of all of our destinations, Dubai is a little bit more expensive, and it's getting more expensive over time. It used to didn't be as expensive, but obviously it's becoming one of the biggest tourist destinations in the world. So it definitely has gotten more pricey over time. But you know, places throughout Europe can be expensive. I'm certainly not speaking about all places, but I know places like that are in the UK. There's a decent amount of history in the UK, but you know, coming from America going to the United Kingdom, can be a little pricey. I mean, we lose money when we go to the UK. And so, because of reasons like that, it's not a destination that we would necessarily prioritize. But that's also not to say that we wouldn't encourage our travelers to go take time, spend some time visiting the UK if that's a place you'd like to see. But it is expensive and gets a little costly in putting together the level of experience that we want to and like to host. And so we definitely factor in cost on like on the ground as well as what our packages have to offer. So the fourth reason, commitment to our people who are there in the destination. Travel is so much about building relationships. And, once you start to visit places and you meet new people and you're able to start over time building a relationship, there becomes this unspoken commitment of returning. You look at places like Ghana, who hosted the Year of Return, and it was sort of like this celebration where folks from all over the African diaspora were invited back to Ghana to experience it for the first time for most people in terms of learning about the history of the transatlantic slave trade and how our ancestors went from Ghana all the way to the Americas. But even with going on an experience like that, it's so important to go back and visit Ghana again and again and again, because the country is always changing. And in order to stay engaged with not just the country, but the people that we meet along the way, we have sort of like this unspoken commitment of returning to a lot of the destinations that we feel are priority destinations, and Ghana is definitely one of those destinations. So the number five reason, familiarity. We know what to expect. If I take you to Brazil, and I've been going to Brazil for years, and yeah, a couple times a year, sometimes a few times a year. It's one of those things that it's so familiar to me. It's so familiar to our team. Many of our team live in Brazil and live in South Africa. They live in Ghana, like they live in Dubai. Like these are places where we have deep relationships with people who are there. And it's just very familiar. Very familiar. We kind of know what to expect in terms of the ways of the culture, and what's are some of the places that people want to see and what they want to experience. So there's that unspoken anticipation. We know what to show you. We know how to host you. And so these are the reasons why we go. We don't want things to be a surprise. We want you to have a great time and understand that when you come with us, we are destination experts and we can point you in the right direction in terms of whatever it is that you want to get from the experience. And we can show you the best of the country and keep you safe. And we can introduce you to some of the amazing people that we know in these beautiful destinations around the world. So that is why we choose the destination we choose. And we hope that once we can travel again, because at the current moment, we're all these countries are kind of on lockdown due to uh, the coronavirus and folks being quarantined. But for right now, we're just sitting, waiting patiently for the doors and the borders to be open up again so we can get back to traveling and showing our amazing group of travelers the world as we see it, from our lens, as we understand the story and the history of our people to be and how it plays out around the world. And so thank you so much, guys, for joining and listening. Give this video a thumbs up, share it, whatever you want to do. But I will be back, and I hope with each one of these videos I can tell you and share with you a little bit more about Black Travelers Network, and also just me as a avid traveler and a organizer of many of our travel experiences. I love sharing my knowledge with all of you. And so thank you guys for watching, and until next time.